Welcome to Simple Review, the series where I briefly play a game, review it, and keep it simple. If at any point you find this review to be helpful, consider leaving a like and subscribing. Now in this review, I'm covering the multiplayer experience of a Souls-like action RPG called The Last Oricru. When playing this game, you will have one game mode, and that is the story mode, which is fully playable in co-op. Story-wise, up to 2 players online or split screen will be put in an ongoing conflict between 2 factions, the Ratkins and the Naboru. There is a third faction of people called the Army of the Broken that benefits from this conflict. It's up to you to side with any of these 3 factions by making decisions throughout the game that heavily alter the story. This mode can be played in 2 difficulties, one being the standard difficulty, while the other is story focused, with combat being very easy. Now when it comes to gameplay, you will play as a character named Silver. You will have a familiar combat system where you lock onto enemies, dodge, attack with light and heavy attacks, heal from replenishable healing items, use mana for magic, and collect a currency from defeated enemies to level up your character. All of this is explained in detail from the tutorial/story introduction. After completing that, you will arrive at a terminal. This is where you begin co-op and start building out your character with stat points. Only one player has to get this far for co-op to work. The second player that joins will have full access to player 1's inventory and stat points. For example, if player 1 has leveled up 12 times, player 2, when joining, will have access to 12 stat points to apply to their character, and then they can use any equipment not currently being used by player 1. Progressing throughout the story with a second player is very simple. Player 1 will make all story dialogue choices, but everything else can be done by both players, such as looting, interacting with objects, opening doors, and so on. Loot can be found hidden throughout the world, purchased from merchants, or collected from defeated enemies. Weapons range from swords, axes, spears, magic orbs, magic staffs, and shields. Some weapons offer special abilities or even co-op exclusive abilities. Armor comes in all types, light, medium, and heavy, all with set bonuses to help shape a character build. When in combat with a second player, you will have the option to revive each other if one of you is killed. With this being a Souls-like game, normally dying will cause you to drop all currency collected from defeated enemies. This only happens if both of you die at the same time. Exploration with a friend allows for both players to freely explore away from each other if they desire. World design is more linear than open world, so some areas will be sectioned off at certain times. Enemies and bosses offer a variety of attacks and defenses to keep players on their toes. And that's all that this game has to offer. Now for my experience, I'd have to say I really enjoyed this game and the multiplayer experience it had to offer. You have a full RPG experience without any co-op gimmicks. Builds and equipment allow for easy teamwork based on playstyle. Monster diversity and world design kept the gameplay interesting. The story is simple and easy to follow. Co-op is easy to start and never held back the experience. I did experience a good amount of glitches in co-op, but it was nothing you couldn't problem solve to get around. Along with this, voiceovers were pretty bad, but it was entertaining. So with all that being said, I'd have to give the multiplayer experience of The Last Oricru 10 pepperonis out of 10, and the game itself 9.5 pepperonis out of 10. The Last Oricru is a must play for anyone who is a fan of the co-op genre. And that'll do it for this review. Comment below if you have any questions, and I will try to help.